Thank you. Hi everyone, could we settle down please? Hello. Could we settle down please? We'll get started. After lunch it's all. Okay, so when websites began originally, and for a very long time after that, the primary source of revenue, and it was very visible, were the rather flashy banner advertising. Okay, then there was email advertising came along, but for a very, very long time, it was banner advertising that was considered the primary source of revenue. There was an assumption of scale that one day when I'm 10 times the size, my revenue may not be 10 times, but it'll be 8 times, it'll be 7 times. But the thing that happened was, I think none of us fully anticipated the oversupply of content, and the rates fell faster than we could scale up. So I used to always think of it, imagine in my head, like you're running up a hill, but the stones are rolling down, so you're always sliding. So it's very difficult to really generate a lot of revenue through scale. Of course, scale is important, I mean, there's no denying, but so then they compelled publishers to look at other sources of revenue. I mean, that whether it was sponsorship, whether it was, say, an event like this one, you look at subscriptions, affiliate marketing, many things have been tried. Let's see, licensing content, crowdfunding. I mean, surprising. I would never have thought that the news business would come to a point where, like, I think The Guardian is so good at asking for money. They're fabulous, you know. You feel bad leaving that website without having contributed. So many publishers have worked on many things, many other avenues to generate revenue. So what we are going to look at really over the next 23 minutes is what are the other avenues beyond advertising that have been attempted, okay, and how well have they worked, and will it change really? Will things change in the coming years? That's broadly where it is, okay. So, Abhishek, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, see, personally, if you ask me, I think this is like a very tricky question. Okay, because, I mean...
what is a tricky question? Which one?
Is there life beyond advertising?
Okay, all right.
See, I mean, like, let's face it. Okay, so... okay, so if you see, I mean, like how, the entire business started, right? I think the biggest problem with the online model, okay, is that content is essentially free, and actually everyone can see it, right?
Right.
But I mean, if you ask me, I think it's really more about understanding your audiences, okay, as well as data. Okay, now based on that, if you can actually measure and see how loyal your users are, okay, then you can actually think about the different strategies, okay, based on that. I think, I mean, like with this topic in general, I think one main idea that actually comes to mind is actually subscriptions, right? Okay, but then also within subscriptions, you have, I mean, you actually have various things to think about. Okay, one is it actually like I mean, do you make it a hard paywall? Okay, B, I mean, do you actually make it a premium paywall? Or C, I mean, do you actually do micropayments, right? So, okay, so if you ask me, I mean, I do think that subscriptions is the way to go. Okay, but second, I think you will have to really A/B test things.
You need to?
I mean, you actually have to A/B test.
Yeah.
In the sense that you will have to try various models to really understand your audiences, even also before you look at DMPs, etc. I mean, even though, I mean, for Chartbeat, I mean, as a tool that we are, I mean, see, we essentially help you understand your audiences, okay, as well as your content. I will still say that take a step back and really understand how loyal your users are, and then based on that, experiment with what content works, okay, and then use different models.
All right. Yeah. Chitranshu is the odd one out here, because I think they have gone. You've never taken advertising on newslaundry.
Yes, that's
correct.
But
why not? I mean, what is the origin of that?
Correct. So so the question that we are posing here is there life beyond online advertising? If I were to answer that question in one word, it would be yes in all caps. So newslaundry is a publisher that for the last 10 years has not taken any ad with a banner, native, or any brand studio. Our primary revenue stream has been reader revenue, so we have subscriptions, we have crowdfunding. And again, in the interest of the panel, I don't think ad revenue or ad dollar is the default revenue model anymore. Because even if you look at market...
Hang on. But Chitranshu, News Laundry is how old?
We are 11 years old now.
So 11 years back, today
Yes.
people question advertising. 11 years back, we believed advertising would save us.
Correct.
So why did you nevertheless decide not to go that
The
way?
answer to that is the kind of journalism we wanted to do. We believe the News Laundry co-founders, Abhinandan and Madhu and other co-founders who started News Laundry, firmly believe that the kind of journalism that we wanted to do, which is deep dive, long form, independent journalism, advertisement can't sustain it, whether it's corporate advertisement or government advertisement. We've seen what has happened in the past few years. There has been a corporate takeover of larger legacy big media. We have seen how most of the newspapers make money, right? We saw what happened in pandemic, where most of your ads are coming from state governments. So to answer your question, the firm belief was that to do certain kind of independent journalism, it can't be it can't be dependent on ad revenue, whether it's corporate or government, because then you'll do a story and those ads will be pulled down from your website.
Was it because of the desire to be independent at any cost, or was that coupled with the fact that you were going to do long form journalism?
I think it was both. With any product, when you start it, you see what's missing in the market. And the belief was that there are enough people who are doing subpar content, and the larger idea was that, right? We saw that's what's wrong with the current news model. The economic model or the business model is at the heart of it, right? There's a reason why we see a certain kind of primetime television debate night after night, right? Because the model is there. So at News Laundry, we have always believed that it's actually the model that has to be blamed, right? Because the relationship there is between an advertiser and the publisher. The relationship as compared to a subscription model or a reader revenue model, where the relationship is between, say, a reporter or an editor and like a reader, right? The relationship is different. Okay. So what incentive does a publisher have if I know if I do this story, a certain corporate or a certain state government is going to pull down the ad, right? So I would rather not do that story. So we believe that to do stories boldly and to do stories where no one can ask us that don't do this story, it was important for us to be ad-free from day one.
Okay. Can you share any numbers?
As in numbers for what?
Number of subscribers or anything. I mean, what is the extent of, how many visitors do you get in a month? Some indication of what your size is.
Of course, these numbers are not like secret. Anyone can go on SimilarWeb and traffic. So in terms of traffic, we are not a massive website. In any month, we'll do anywhere between like a 1 to 3 million page views, which is very, very small and niche. If you look at, even if you look at other pure digital, digital native organization, but we have a community of around 40,000 paying subscribers, right? So that's a community that we built over 10 years, and that's the metric that we've always chased, right? Okay. We were, as a newsroom, we were never looking at how many page views are we getting in a month, but what we were looking at, how many deep dive long form stories that we've done, that enough number of people will feel like, okay, this is something that I want to pay 300 or 3,000 for.
Great. Hemant, you have a, you had the biggest, the digital aspect of the biggest Marathi news brand, right? How do you see pay? Let's discuss pay first, then we can move on to other aspects, other source of revenue. How do you see pay? Do you have faith in it? Do you think it can take you anywhere? Because you have a different size, right?
So when I look at the India market, India today is the world's largest microtransaction economy in the world, with 99% of the audience being on prepaid in the telco environment. And on an average, an individual topping up the prepaid account minimum 3 times in a month. If you look at the statistics, you are the largest microtransaction economy in the world. Which brings me to the point that yes, there is and also with the growth in payment apps and the ease and convenience of payment, there is definitely a very large available market audience set of people who can pay for goods, services, utility. I think so our discussion today is more context to content. Now, when it comes to content, while a few years back I used to run the largest microtransaction business in the value-added services space for a mobile entertainment company, I realized that at the end of the day, people are willing to pay money out of their wallet for anything which is very exclusive. It could be a movie, it could be a song, it could be a match. As long as there is an, I would say, immediate need to fulfill, you are willing to take the money out of the wallet. But in the same content space, anything which is commodity, which is easily available, which does not have a huge differentiation or exclusivity, I don't believe that there exists a market for subscription. And when we say market for subscription, I am talking about something which can become big, which can be scaled, and which is easy to acquire and service. On the other hand, if I have to, if I get my content story right, which I believe is well differentiated, and I have to move into a transaction model, I would dwell more into a sachet pricing model. Because what I have learned from my own experiences in the past, 2 countries in the world which are the largest sachet economies are India and China. So even when you consider an e-book business model, China thrives on microtransaction model, where people pay for specific chapters, and over a period of time, they complete the book. Similarly, in India, if you look at some of the other categories, sachet pricing tends to work much better with the sweet price point of 4 rupees, 5 rupees, up to anything which is less than 20 rupees.
Hemant, but how would you apply this to, say, a Lokmat? How would you, your experience from a value-added servicing for a telecom company, how would you apply it to a publishing company? Would it work? Would it not work?
So, if I have to index this to a general news publisher, then the value creation lies in the quality of content. If the content is very exclusive, well-researched, not easily available on any other platform, could be research reports, could be a piece of editorial which is done, which has got exclusive data sets, etc., then your ability to sell that content against a value definitely exists. But typically, if you look at from a behavioral set point of view, it is not easy for you to get money out of the wallet out of an Indian audience. Otherwise, we would have been the largest gaming market in the world in terms of value.
Fine. Okay. Radhika, you look after the pay part, subscription, right, for Times Internet. What's your experience on how far does it work and where does it not work?
So, as a part of Times Internet, we have tried subscription in various formats, as Puneet also shared, right? We have a subscription in business news. We have a subscription for Times of India, in Times of India Digital, which is TOI Plus. We also have a membership/subscription service, which is called Times Prime, which is a discount and value add. We have a subscription for music, etc. One thing which is common across all these subscription services, which is different from advertising model, it helps you understand your user a lot more compared to what you know about if you only had an advertising model, right? Because the moment you become a subscription product, it's an e-commerce, right? So you know your funnel, you have to sharpen the funnel very clearly from the top of the funnel till the plan page, till the payment page. You know the entire user journey. You need to know it. You need to know your user better to be able to show him or her the propensity to subscribe, not subscribe. So I think that's very interesting. I have spent a lot of time on user segmentation, building cohorts. It's both very interesting and enriching, and obviously that helps you improve the funnel clearly and deliver better conversions. Now, some of my biggest learnings within subscription, and especially with respect to TOI Plus, would have been, around free trial. So free trial is, for example, it appears very simple, right? You give a free trial, everyone uses free trial to generate leads, and a part of that lead would convert. It appears very simple, right? But that doesn't work like that, right? Because when we started, we gave free trial to our users, and we saw that the conversions and the upsell was low. And when we stopped that free trial, our subscription numbers went up. Yeah. So, and I'll tell you the reason. So, free trial will work when you have sharply segmented the user, right? Who should be getting this free trial? Maybe he or this person has visited hit the paywall 6 times in a definite period, 4 times in a definite, but not buy. Maybe abandoned the cart. We tried, when we started segmenting it very deeply, the rates improved. Similarly, we also tried, when we have done a lot of partnerships, and this free trial works for a certain set of users of a certain set of partner who have a better intersection or like-minded users. So something which is as simple as that becomes a great thing of experiment and A/B testing. So that's something there. Then similarly, microtransactions, as Hemant talked about. Now, as Puneet shared, that did not work for us. The reason why is that we have a microtransaction product. We had a microtransaction product and an annual pack, right? And given a choice that user would first like to use this, and in India you can create, not in India, in general you can create, but Indians have a habit creating multiple email IDs and mobile numbers and experiment reading it. So it started cannibalizing that, and the upsell was low. But I still believe that can work if your personalization and the model of propensity to subscribe or show the user in which part of his journey can this be shown, and hence it can be converted to an annual pack. So this can work. So this is another very interesting thing if you understand the customer life cycle and segment and your users very well. So I think subscription as a product helps you understand your users much more, for a news organization, much more deeply than they've ever been while we've been working on online advertising all these years.
Do you find any change? How long have you been working on this aspect of the business?
So 2.5 years, yeah.
Have you seen any change in consumer behavior or towards their propensity to pay over the last 2.5, 3 years? Not just the willingness to pay, but in any other form. Have you seen changes?
See, bulk of our users, I believe, and we have also done some analysis on the user, for example, pre and post behavior of the user, right? People who pay, and one of the biggest value propositions for most subscription products is because these Indian sites are inundated with ads, right? Ad light or ad free, right? So I think initially most of the users would want to subscribe for it being an ad free product, right? And these are already highly engaged users. So when we rolled out, the first set of users who subscribe were our loyal users. And eventually they engage with the content and they realize that there is more than the way you position is that the news breaks on TOI and it's analyzed and explained on TOI plus. This is our value proposition as of now. So over a period of time, obviously the content has to speak for itself. Sure. There has been an increased interest and we have to continuously improve our content. Yeah.
Chitranshu, you have really, your organization, and you've been there for a very long time. You have experience, the kind of experience with regard to subscriptions that few people in India would have. Not over 8 and 10 and 11 years, hardly anyone would. Have you seen, I want to know what are renewal rates like? Because I think that's like one big worry in most organizations which go pay. You may get the person to pay once, but will he or she come back and pay the second time, right? What have you seen? So how has buyer behavior changed, buyer as in subscriber behavior changed, especially with regard to renewals?
Okay, so on first, how has buyer or reader behavior changed? I think it has changed massively. When we started asking for subscription or reader revenue, it was such an alien idea that we had to spend a lot of marketing effort to explain it to people. Why is it that they have to pay for news in the first place? Right. Because news for the longest time has been free, right? You would get a newspaper, which you would pay for, but you're not really paying for the news. You're paying for the distribution of that paper. TV channels are more or less free. So news for the longest time has always been subsidized. So we had to do a lot of marketing and we really struggled right at the start. So we had a slogan and we still have that slogan, which read that when advertisers pay, advertisers are served, and when readers pay, readers are served. So we really had to do a lot of that awareness program. Now it's a lot better, right? People are already paying for OTT. There's also an understanding of that if for a certain kind of news you would need to pay for. So a consumer or a reader is also a lot more aware. The second thing is that 8 years ago, 9 years ago, the tech was also not there. I still remember,
Absolutely, yeah.
right at the very start, the failure rate would be as high as 70%, 80%.
Payment.
Yes, there was just one payment gateway, RazourPay. Now there are like half a dozen payment gateways in the market. So the technology, the fintech technology has come a long way. To answer your question about renewal, so in India, renewals more or less go for
Just one second. So you're at 40,000 subscribers now. When did you hit 20,000? How many years back?
I think that was before pandemic.
So you gone from...
So the pandemic has been really good for us because that's when people understood.
So you went from, roughly speaking, from
Correct.
20 to 40,000 between 2019 and 2023.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Please go ahead. Yeah.
So about renewal, right? So in India, renewals are a bit tricky because conventionally renewals work because you just add your credit card and then you forget about it. In fact, if you go to the NYT website and you subscribe, they won't even give you the option to go and unsubscribe. You probably have to get
I'm trying to find whether...
Yes, you probably have, and
You have to call?
And that is by design, right? The idea is to introduce as much friction as possible to cancel your subscription. But in India, specifically after the RBI guideline on recurring payment, there are very few payments that get renewed automatically. In our case, because we've been doing subscriptions for a while and we have a lot more loyal users, so what people usually do is they have a one-time subscription and then they will renew on their own. But in general, like if you compare it with like an OTT or an Apple or say like an NYT recurring subscription, there is no such thing, at least in the Indian.
What kind of renewal rates do you get?
I don't have a number at the top of my head, but it will be less than 50% for sure.
Okay. Abhishek, would you have any suggestions to publishers on what you guys have learned and what, especially about how, because one interesting thing, Abhishek, I was just mentioning it to somebody earlier, is that earlier if I went to a website and it said, register or whatever, I would say, okay, I'll go to the next website. But now I find that if I go to everywhere, I keep on seeing that thing. So you feel a little trapped rat, that you have to finally go and press a button, otherwise you're not going to be able to get the news. So I think that also generates this sense of, I need to pay, right? What is the big stuff you would like to suggest to publishers?
Okay, so I think, like if you ask us in terms of data, of course, like average engage time really matters. So if I actually talk about benchmarks, right? Say for a publisher to typically have a very strong subscription strategy, you should at least have about an average of 45 seconds. Okay, now I'm talking about active engage time. Okay, now second is that, in terms of say, registrations, we fundamentally haven't seen in the data, okay, the registrations work. So either your users will pay or say they'll actually be guest users, okay, which is what it is. Okay, now the third thing, of course, is that, just like what Hemant and Radhika said, content plays a big role. Say for example, some categories like finance. Okay, so say for example, stocks, okay, gold. Okay, right? By default, if you actually have a good strategy, you can get more subscribers. And four is, this is really interesting. Yeah, so say for example, a user lands to an article, right? Okay, so often I think there's a tendency where, we tend to at least show 2 paragraphs, okay, under the headline, and then after that we actually have this, exactly, right? Now in many occasions we've actually seen that many users, okay, actually go and they're only happy with those 2 paragraphs. Now, ideally, if you actually can see so many users there, we then cut those 2 paragraphs, okay, and make it totally hard paywall, right? Okay, so then you will have a much better chance of subscription. So if you ask me, in terms of initiatives that you can do, I think these are some things that you can do.
Is this a new thing? This sounds like counterintuitive that you just give a headline, don't even give 2 paras, and then they are more likely to subscribe than if you had given 2 paras.
No, it's not new. If you ask me personally, right? I am actually always traveling, okay, to different countries, okay, and talking to newsrooms. Now, in terms of patterns, right? These are just some things that we've seen in the data. In terms of patterns.
Sure.
So I think it's really important that you actually take actions in real time, and plus, just really understand the content. Topics that work, okay, but also not giving the users too much. And also, what's going to get a user to really subscribe is actually zero friction, making it as easy as possible. Okay, now one more fun fact. app users are 9 times more likely to convert into subscribers, okay, compared to search and also social users.
9 times, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so having a very strong app strategy is also very important. Yeah.
But I thought actually a lot of smaller publishers, I mean, I'm not talking about the biggest guys because they have apps, but I think for a lot of other people, HTML5, wasn't that then? Ever since that, people just had a sense of web works fine, you know? No? It's okay. So tell me, you know, we just have a minute or so left. If you were sitting on the stage 3 years later, okay, how different would our conversation be? Could you tell me briefly? Tell me. How would we be discussing a different issue, or would we be just talking bigger numbers?
I'm not clairvoyant to say,
just,
you know,
just
but
quick,
but
just
I
in a
think
sentence or
I
two.
think the way we already started, I mean, readers' revenue was not a big thing couple of years back. It is something people have started talking. I think next 2-3 years we will all be talking about AI and generative AI and how this would disrupt, and we'll have to rebuild our newsrooms. So I think that would be the biggest thing to people will be talking about, and that will impact all areas of publishing, including subscription, obviously.
Hemant, just quickly, just to, because we have run out of time.
See, I would say different publishers would have a different story as conversations. As far as I am concerned, I think so I'm pretty clear that I would want to focus on other aspects of community building to monetization journey.
Rather than pay.
Rather than pay.
Okay, cool. Chitranshu, how different?
Again,
will we be talking about 80,000 subscribers 3
I
years
am
from now?
probably biased when I say this, but I think we'll probably be discussing, is it even possible to do credible deep dive journalism on the back of ad revenue?
On the back of?
On the back of ad revenue.
Okay, fine. Abhishek?
I mean, like I come from a different background here, but but I think for us it's actually going to be more automation, okay, more digitization, and also I think really like using first-party data to drive more subscription personalization, and also I mean like giving you better solutions, I guess.
Okay. No, I think personally, I think that for general news sites to get subscribers is tough, and I think credit to Times of India that it's been doing it for a very long time. But I think for a lot of specialized business websites or even people in verticals, there's a real possibility. And but at least 3 years back when we discussed something like this, there was a sense of we are talking about something very futuristic like pay. Nobody really pays, but we are talking about it. But now it's real, right? And thank you very much. I think that's good.